It's that time again! Thanks for tuning in! I'm your host, the Joker. Harley! Harley! You see? Let's get to know our legendary contestants.
Welcome to DCUO Legends Spotlight. My name is Jemmy, and for this video, we'll be covering the second lantern added to the Legends roster with the War of the Light DLC. Saint Walker, originally known as Brody Walker, the title Saint was given to him once he was inducted into the Blue Lantern Corps for his display of hope. Saint's homeworld was in panic over their dying son, so during a time when panic and violence overtook his homeland, Brody fervently believed in his savior that would guide them to salvation. However, along their quest, he continued to lose his family members one by one as the journey became more and more treacherous. But his hope for his savior never faltered, and in the end, the Guardians of Hope witnessed Brody's undying power and bestowed a blue ring to be the first one to be a part of the Blue Lantern Corps. So there's an in-depth look at how Saint Walker became known as Saint instead of Brody, and as well as how he was able to become this Blue Lantern. But for us today, we are mainly going to focus on how he is inside the arena. So like usual, we'll start off with the movement types. Saint Walker is a lantern himself, and like I said a billion times before already, all lanterns use the movement type of flight, so that is no different for Saint Walker. His weapon choice in the arena are MAs, also known as martial arts, and I believe the full range is available to him. There shouldn't be any variations. Even for the shurikens, there's only one change. It seems when you throw the combo, the actual shurikens kind of link together and make like a little taser line between them, but other than that, they're the same. So for the first skill on Saint Walker's loadout is called Salvo of Adara, and that is when Saint Walker sends out blue orbs that knock back your enemy while damaging them. This skill is safe to use against blocking targets, but of course the knockback effect will not apply. And as it looks, the Salvo of Adara is a conus AoE. That means it affects all enemy targets that are within that range, knocking them all back and damaging them. This skill also does have a relatively low cooldown, so as long as you have the power, you should be able to use it frequently. The second skill is called Azure Shockwave, where Saint Walker punches the ground with his ring that sends out this kind of shockwave that knocks back your enemies and damages them. This skill is safe to use against blocking targets, but of course the knockback effect will not apply. Against enemy groups, Azure Shockwave is also an AoE around Saint Walker. So once he uses this Azure Shockwave, it actually knocks back any enemies that are in a 360-degree radius around Saint. The third skill on Saint Walker's loadout is called Purposeful Strikes, where he does a succession of movements that sends out an attack that knocks back and damages your enemy. Now, Purposeful Strikes is a channeled skill, so even though it is safe to use against blocking targets, it is vulnerable to lunges. So just be careful when you're using this skill and mindful of your surroundings and see what your enemies are doing. This skill is also a 35% finisher. When your enemy's health is below 35%, Purposeful Strikes will hit your enemy for more. Also, if the finisher is able to defeat your enemy, Saint Walker will gain power back. As far as going against an enemy group, Purposeful Strikes is a single target skill affecting only one in a ray. So the first enemy to be in contact with the skill will be affected by it. Temperance is a skill where Saint Walker summons his lantern to the field, giving off a blue aura that continues to push back and damage nearby enemies for the duration of the skill. While the lantern is active, it is supposed to reduce the damage of your enemy's output. Temperance is safe to use against blocking targets, and they will not be affected by the pushback. However, that is only if your enemy is blocking through the entire duration of the skill. Once they let go of that block, the next aura blast will go ahead and knock them back. And the last thing to know for Temperance is that it is a 360-degree AoE around St. Walker, knocking all enemies back while delivering that damage. So you see here, every single pulse, the goons were continually pushed back. Sustaining Spirit is the 5th skill on St. Walker's loadout. It is a shield that absorbs incoming damage, and every time enemies hit the shield, St. Walker will restore power. And last but certainly not least is St. Walker's 6th skill on his loadout, which is going to be his supercharge called Hope. Now, Hope, what it's supposed to do is fully restore health and power. Now, that seems pretty good to be true, so we did go ahead and test this. So while Saint's life is nice and low, including the power seems to be relatively low as well, we did go ahead and use the skill Supercharge Hope. And if you look on the top left hand corner, you see that both the HP bar and the power bar are completely full. Here you can see that again. Meanwhile, I'll go ahead and let you know that the supercharge has a very hefty cooldown on it. It's about 4 to 5 minutes. So even though your supercharge builds back to 100% bar, it doesn't mean that you could continue using or re-spamming this Hope supercharge. You have to fully wait that 4 to 5 minutes until the skill comes out of cooldown. Which is definitely understandable, since if you were able to spam this Hope supercharge, that would be completely overpowered. So with that, both of the lanterns for the War of the Light DLC have been covered. If you are interested in playing as St. Walker in your Legends matches, you can purchase them in the War of the Light DLC with Marks of Legend. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you missed the last Legends Spotlight that I did go over Atrocitus, which is the other Legends character that's going to be in the War of the Light DLC. So you could go ahead and check that out. I'll leave that easy link right here in the center for you. Now, if you want to stay updated with any of the videos that I post as soon as I post them, you could go ahead and subscribe with the link right on top. If you would like to stay updated with me, you can follow me on other forms of social media such as Twitter, Facebook, and more, with all the easy and convenient links for you in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I will see you next time. Bye bye!